understands me is everyone complain. If you listen with sincerity to other people's stories, they will be pleased and grateful. Yeah. Sowing the seeds of listening makes human relation go more smoothly. Believe in relationship with various people day by day, and that means necessarily living in different source of relationship. Most of our problems and sorrows nowadays spring from difficulties in such relationships. These various problems relating to our relationship have a common source, namely the inability to understand the other person's feelings. Not understanding how the other person feels, we unintentionally say or do things that the other finds unpleasant in a quarrel begins. Not knowing what the other person may be thinking, we worry that he or she dislikes us. Not understanding what the other person is seeking, things we do for his or her sake may have a negative impact and end by hurting that person. We seldom say or do awful things to someone intentionally. Almost always we injure or annoy the other person without realizing it. Thus, if we can come to know the other person's true feeling, we can take care to avoid unnecessary trouble by saying to ourselves, I would better not say that at this particular moment, or he seems very sensitive about this matter, so I would better not touch on it. Well, then, how can we come to know the other's true feelings? It's a matter of listening attentively to what the other person has to say. Most of us don't have telepathic powers, so we can't see into another person's heart or mind. People talk about reading the mood or sensing the atmosphere, but mood and atmosphere are not readily visible and are often hard to gauge. That's why the only way for us to learn the other person's feelings is to listen to what he or she says. We all have the strong desire to have people understand our feeling, but when we are in the role of listener, we tend to say things like, but isn't it rather like this? Or, but there are cases where it like this, in a sense negating the point of view of the other person who's speaking and pressing our I'm sorry, our own way of thinking on them. And if we aren't interested in this topic, we respond in bored way. Well, so what? It's a topic we're familiar with. We sometimes say, "Oh yes, I know about that." It is suddenly we have shifted from listener to talker. At times like that, why not try to suppress your own feelings a bit and simply listen to what the other person is saying? If you listen, you will discover the other person's real feelings and attitudes. To listen is to come to know and understand another's feelings. If you do so, that even to a small extent, the person you are listening to will be delighted that someone has understood his or her feelings and thinks very well of you indeed. That alone will cause many problems in human relationship be quickly resolved. Misunderstandings will be clear up and psychological distances reduced, and people will feel that they are understood by others. And there is a picture of a cat, I guess, who says, the person who listens to others is loved by all. Feel free to tell me anything. That's what this cat say. Yeah, uh, I will give small comment. Like, I remember I've been in the college and we had a philosophy course that what kind of was very unrelated to rest of the subjects we studied because I was in a technical university, so philosophy was more like exception. And the guy who was teaching us, he actually explains the meaning of the world culture. He says the world culture actually means something like an art of living, like a science of living, how just live right. So people who are cultural, they basically know how to live. They handle themselves correctly. They talk correctly. And what this story probably tells, it tells us about the culture. So if person wants to master art of living, he has to learn how to listen to other people, because not like it's not good for karma, it's not just good for like future life, it's good for this life. It's from the practical standpoint, it's can bring immediate reward. So we might not know that, so some people just don't know that it might be good behavioral pattern to let other person express their opinion, and always keep in mind that no matter what this opinion is, we should respect the fact that person has a right to express opinion. So even we disagree, when opinion is not something that we like, we just should say, all right, that it's still his right or her right to have an opinion. So we shouldn't really like negate the fact that or it doesn't align with my opinion. Maybe not. It's human right to have its own opinion. And if persons express it, okay, so be it. So person has opinion and we listen to it. Maybe in one point in our life it's going to even help us. Maybe not now, not necessarily now. So yeah, I see this story is very smart, very wise, and it teaches us culture. So that's what I see.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much, Stan, for reading and explaining the story to us. As you say, indeed, it's very important to be tolerant and hear people out, and that's kindness. To just listen. If we don't listen, we don't know what people have in their mind. So to understand them, we can give the gift of listening. Very good. So good job, everyone, for being here. Have a restful Monday and hope to see you next time. Bye.